bears, I'm here to explain this lesson activity. So I know that this might seem confusing right at the get-go. And actually, I had to read through a bit more of Episode of War to kind of understand what this was asking me. So if we look at these historical elements in the first column, so those are parts of the story. They're not directly quoted from the story, but they're parts of the story throughout that we see in the plot. So we see where he is locating the field hospital. We see how he is describing the field hospital, and then at the very end, we see what happens with his injury. So it's more an overview of some of the plot points. What we're looking at is how it affects the story and how it affects us as readers. And I will say, I kind of struggled here a little bit on this because every time I thought I found an effect on the story, I realized that that's how I was feeling. So I thought doing the effect on the readers first was easier. I thought about how these historical elements made me feel. So the effect on the readers, it made me feel like the military was short on men fighting, or the war was taking many men to keep the fighting going. So because the hospitals were located near on the battlefield and the soldiers who weren't really wounded were sent back into battle, it made me feel like there weren't enough men, or it was taking lots of them to keep fighting this war. They were essentially given a band-aid and told to go back. This made me feel like the men were being treated like equipment, like, oh, let me fix this gun and send it back out into the war. And so at the end of me kind of processing through how this effect of these historical elements on me as the reader, I then thought about how this made me feel. So I added this at the very end because this kind of brought it all home how it affected me. So this made me feel very angry, thinking about how these men were treated, and it made me also feel somewhat sympathetic for them. I feel sorry that they had to go through an experience like this. All right, so then I jumped back to how did it affect the story? So I thought about the lieutenant finding this field hospital. So he kind of lingered on the battlefield. He watched the battery, he watched the woods, he watched the soldiers, because it almost seemed like he didn't want to go to the field hospital. He seemed really hesitant to go there. And it made me think that it wasn't a place that people wanted to go. So being so close to the battle, it also made it seem more chaotic, like they were almost like a factory churning out soldiers to send back. So it made it seem like there's a lot going on, all these different sounds and sights. But it also made me realize, because these men who were not seriously injured, they needed to go back to battle, this might also indicate that there wasn't really great care back then. So the way that the lieutenant described how the men were just sitting by the trees, they were in these carts stuck in the mud, so it just didn't seem like the care was great back then. So I'm going to add that here. So just a few sentences on how it affected the story and the characters and how it affected me as the reader. So for the next two, you're going to do the same thing. I would suggest starting with how it made you feel, what it made you think, and then go back and see how it affected the story and the characters. All right, hope this helped. If you have any questions, reach out to your teacher either through email or the parking lot.